Okay, welcome back, Ben, to your next lesson. And this time we're gonna divide whole number by a decimal number. Okay, so in our previous lesson, okay, in dividing decimals, we have divided a decimal number by a whole number. Right. So this time we're gonna do the opposite. We're gonna divide a whole number by a decimal number. Okay, so what are the steps? How? So to divide a decimal by another decimal number or divide a whole number by a decimal number. Okay, first thing to do is count the number of decimal places in the divisor and make the divisor whole. Okay, so then add zeros to the whole number based on the number of decimal places in the divisor. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, let me explain by giving an example. Okay, so let's have 18 divided by 0.4. Okay, so we have here 18 for our whole number and zero point 0.4 for our decimal number. Okay, so 18 here for our dividend and zero point 0.4 for our divisor. Okay, so let's do this one step at a time. Okay, to divide a whole number by a decimal number, first thing to do is change first the decimal number into a whole number. How? By transferring the zero to the rightmost. Okay, or transferring the decimal point to the rightmost of the number so that it becomes a whole number. Okay, and also adding zeros to our dividend. Okay, so equal our transfer. So if we're going to transfer here, okay, decimal point here, if you count the steps, we only transferred one step. Okay, to make this zero point 0.4 whole number. So when to say if 18 here as a whole number, this is the decimal point, we're gonna have one step too. Okay, so to have one step, we're gonna add 0 here. Okay, so you need to say 0.4 divided by, or 18 divided by 0.4 is equal to 4, or 180 divided by 4. Okay, they are equal. Okay, we just make this decimal number as a whole. Okay, so they're equal. So the same. And by that we can now divide. Okay, it becomes 180 divided by 4. Okay, so let's divide because there are whole numbers now. So let's start. 1 divided by 4 is cannot be because 4 here is greater than 1. So what are we going to do? We're going to add another digit so that we can be able to divide. So 1 here becomes 18. So we can divide now. 18 divided by 4 is 4. Okay, so 4 times 4 is 16. And let's subtract. 18 minus 16 is 2. Bring down 0. So we have 20. Now 20 divided by 4 is 5. Now 5 times 4 is 20. Now 20 minus 20 is 0. So therefore, for our answer, that would be 45. Okay? So let's have some more example. Okay, so we have a whole number divided by a decimal number. So if we're gonna arrange them, 96 for our dividend and 0.3 for our divisor. Okay, let's erase this. So to divide them, then first is make the decimal number into a whole number. How? By transferring the 0 to the rightmost of the number to make it a whole number. Counting the steps, and we're gonna add zeros here too. We're gonna transfer the decimal point here too, depending on the steps that we used here. Okay, so from here to make this a whole number, we only need one step. Okay, so make this a whole number, and so here for our whole number, we only also need one step. Okay, and the same number we have made here. Okay, and add 0. Okay, so it becomes 960. So what will become is that 960 divided by 3. Okay, we can now divide. Let's start. So 9 divided by 3 is 3. Now 3 times 3 is 9. Minus 9 minus 9 is 0. Bring down 6. So we have 6. Now 6 divided by 3 is 2. Now 2 times 3 is 6. So minus 6 minus 6 is 0. Bring down 0. Now 0 divided by 3 is 0. Okay? So 0 minus 3 is 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. Okay? So for our answer here, that's 320. Okay? Let's have some more example. So the same process. We are dividing whole number by a decimal number. So let's arrange them. 49 here for our dividend and 0.7 for our divisor. So to divide them, okay, to divide them, first is we're gonna make the decimal number into a whole number. How? By transferring the decimal point to the rightmost to the number, so that it becomes a whole number. And we're gonna add zeros here, depending on the steps that we made here. Okay, so if from here to here, that's only one step. So we need to say from decimal point here, we only need one step also. Okay, so we're gonna put some 0 here, and we're gonna erase the 0 here. So 0.7 becomes 7, while 49 becomes 490. Okay, so we can now divide. Okay, so let's divide. Now 4 divided by 7 is cannot be, because 7 here is greater than 4. So we're gonna add another digit so that we can be able to divide. Okay, so it becomes 4 becomes 49. Now 49 divided by 7 is 7. Okay, now 7 times 7 is also 49. So we have 49 here. So 49 minus 49 is 0. We bring down 0. Okay, now 0 divided by 7 is 0. 0 times 7 is 0. So 0 minus 0, it becomes 0. Okay, for our answer, it's 70. Okay? So dividing a whole number by a decimal. Let's have some more example.
Okay, it's 281.25 divided by 2.25. Okay,
So this time we are dividing a decimal number by another decimal number. Okay, so we have here a decimal number, and for our divisor is also a decimal number. So the same, okay? How do we divide this? First, let's arrange them. 281 here, 0.25 for our dividend, and for our divisor that's 2.25. Okay. It's the same process. Okay, the same process. How do we divide this? Decimal number divided by another decimal number. Simple. Just make this decimal number into a whole number. Okay, how? So transferring a decimal point to the rightmost and transfer the decimal point here too, depending on the step that we made here. Okay, so if we're gonna transfer this decimal point to this, we need two steps. 1, 2 decimal point here. Okay, so because we have made two steps here for our decimal point here, we're gonna need two steps also to make them equal. Okay, so from here we need two steps. 1, 2 decimal point here. Okay, so if we're gonna erase it, this becomes a whole number. Okay, well, this becomes a whole number too. Okay. And we can now divide. Okay, we're gonna put okay, so we have 3 digits here, so we need also 3 digits here, so that we can be able to divide. Okay, so how many 255 out of 281? So we have 1. Okay, so now 1 times 255 is the same. 255. Okay, and we're gonna subtract. Now we're gonna do the long method. 1 minus 5 is cannot be. So 1 must power of 1 from 8. 8 will become 7. 1 will become 11. So then now subtract. 11 minus 5 is 6. 7 minus 2 is 5. Okay? And 2 minus 2 is 0. Bring down 2. Okay? So how many 225 out of 562? Okay, let's try the maybe 2. Okay, maybe 2. So let's multiply. Now 2 times 5 is 10. 0 carry 1. 2 times 2 is 4. Plus 1 is 5. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so we have 2. Subtract. Okay, so 2 minus 0 is 2. 6 minus 5 is 1. And 5 minus 4 is 1. Okay, and bring down 5. So we have now 1,125. Okay, now divided by 255. Okay, let's estimate maybe 5. Okay, Okay? And then multiply. Now 5 times 5 is 25. 5 carry 2. Next, 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 2 is 12. 2 carry 1 here. Okay? Now 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 1 is 11. So 1 and 1. So it's exactly the same. Minus 0. Okay? So for our answer, that's 125. Okay? So that's how you divide a whole number by a decimal. How, Ben? Simple. First, you arrange them just like whole numbers in dividing. Then, just make the divisor a whole number. Okay? How? By transferring the 0 to the rightmost of that number. And to make them equal, you must transfer also the decimal point of the dividend depending on the steps that we made here from our divisor. Okay? So, dividing a whole number by a decimal number. So, thank you for your time, Ben. See you next meeting.